A note before we begin today. This episode touches on some difficult subjects, including a death of a child, suicidal ideation, and other sensitive subjects. We want to remind you to prioritize your well-being. If this content feels overwhelming for you today, please feel free to skip this episode or take a break as you need it. Hi, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that has really sat with me throughout my own journey and in conversations with others navigating profound loss and trauma. You know, when I would hear people talk about finding purpose in the midst of grief, a surge of anger, sometimes even rage, would bubble up inside of me. It felt like some twisted expectation, like someone with toxic positivity telling me, you'll have gratitude for this loss at some point. What was my internal response? Fuck that. And honestly, that still holds true. So let's be clear. I will never feel gratitude for the premature death of my mom and my sister. It's also become clear to me that our society's almost obsessive need to extract meaning from hardship often stems from a deep discomfort. A discomfort in simply holding space for someone else's pain. Maybe it's even a way to avoid confronting our own suffering. So today, I want to be absolutely clear. I never want to forcibly encourage anyone to find some grand purpose in their painful lived experiences. And also, please hear this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you if you haven't yet or if you never do. I'm going to say that again. You are not doing anything wrong by not making meaning and finding some sliver of purpose in the face of grief and trauma. So, today we have a truly moving conversation for you. I'll be diving into the incredibly profound journey of grief with our guest, Carol. Carol bravely shares her experience as a mother who faced the unimaginable loss of her only child. But this isn't just a story of sorrow. Carol also shares her eventual path towards healing and the rediscovery of hope and purpose. Carol beautifully emphasizes the crucial role of connection, the ongoing nature of grief, reminding us that it's not something that you simply overcome, and the power of personal growth that can emerge even from the deepest pain. This is a conversation filled with vulnerability, resilience, and for Carol, ultimately, hope. I am so honored to share this story with you all. This is Nothing Happens for a Reason. Hi, Carol. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Thanks for being willing to come on and talk about your experience.
Okay, now you are going to make me cry.
Okay. Should we move the tissues closer?
Thank you for having me. This is that club we don't want to ever have to belong to, but we get to. And so thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So why don't we start with you sharing what your experience with grief has been?
Yeah, messy, terrible, awful, growth, the whole thing, right? Well, I thought about what I really wanted to share, and I think I'm going to start with my son. Let me tell you a little bit about him and the journey that we went through.
Okay.
Yeah, so I probably the best day of my whole entire life was the day I had him. His name is Anthony Robert Morrell, went by Tony. Tony, sweet, sweet Tony. Father was not really in the picture. He was here and there, but for the most part, I was a single mom, and our connection was something that I've never actually had since him. Very special relationship with him. It was the best job I ever had. And man, just loved him. He fit in my life. And when I had the amazing opportunity to be his mother, I was so proud. It was like the best thing I've ever done. To back up just a little bit, I just want to share, like, my personal childhood was not that great.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma in my childhood. And so when I had Tony and I saw him and I looked at him, I remember saying out loud, I am going to keep you safe. I am going to create a childhood that I've never had.
Yeah. Wow.
I am going to make sure that you feel loved every single day of your life. And that was my goal. However, one day we were on a walk with our dog, and Tony kind of stumbled a little bit. He was 9. And a bit of a jokester. And so I thought he was just messing around. So I told him to knock it off. Don't do that. And he stumbled again. And I kind of, I got a little bit irritated with him. And I'm like, come on, Tony, knock it off. We got to get this done. And at the time I had a corporate job and, I thought I got to get to work, let's get going. Let's get going with life. And that's important to know about the story because there's nothing more important than spending time with your loved ones. And if I had known then what I found out later, that interaction could have been different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So he stumbled again, and I thought, this is kind of interesting. Maybe on my way to work, I'll swing by the urgent care and take him in. He had a lot of ear issues, so I thought maybe it might have been like an ear infection, messing around with his equilibrium.
Yeah.
So I took him in and, they took him back and did a MRI. And, I noticed my family, they started showing up. And I thought that was rather odd because they don't usually show up for me like that, right? And I had a feeling, but I didn't think it was what it was going to be.
Like you were catastrophizing something in your brain.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on? And nobody's saying anything to me. The doctor comes out and he takes us all into a room. And he proceeds to say, I'm sorry to tell you that your son has stage 4 brain cancer. It's terminal. And if you do nothing at all, he has 2 weeks to live. And if you do treatment, you might have 4 months. Wow. And Clara, I remember at that moment, I can remember like I'm there right now, right? I remember screaming like a scream I've never screamed before, right? And I fell to the ground. And I just realized at that very moment, my life is changed forever.
Yeah.
And I thought in that very moment, I wasn't going to be able to make it. My heart was so broken. I was so stunned. Imagine like walking your child 1 minute and then being in the ER the next moment and being told that your son has 2 weeks to live.
I can't imagine it. I
couldn't even wrap my head around it. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. I remember thinking, at the time I'm in recovery. And at the time I had 12 years sobriety. And I remember thinking, I do everything right. I'm a good person. I give back to the community. I am a loving mother. I told him at birth that I was going to protect him. And this is out of my control. And that was so hard. It was out of my control. And I felt like at that moment that I was so devastated. I didn't know how I was going to walk forward.
Yeah. It reminds me of, have you heard of the theory of shattered assumptions?
Share it with me.
Yeah, it's used often to talk about trauma, but oftentimes grief is absolutely so fucking traumatizing.
So traumatizing.
And it's just this idea of maybe up until certain points in life, we have some sort of messaging, whether from our family of origin or from the world, that we think things are going to look one way. And then in a blink of an eye, that it shatters, right? And so like you just said that I was a good person, right? For some people that might be, you know, good things happen to good people.
Absolutely.
Right? And in that moment, it just is taken from underneath you to have a whole new view of the world of, well, fuck, I guess that's actually not true. I've lived my life thinking that good things will come back to me if I put the work in, and it's so not fair.
Ooh, not fair is like, it doesn't even capture it, right?
Yeah, no.
It doesn't even capture it. And not fair, but also why me?
Why me? Yeah.
The why me, that, and also the bargaining that happens, right? It's like, take me instead of him.
Yeah.
You know, he has his whole life ahead. I'm older, you know, I've done things like let him live and take me. And that I spoke those words quite a bit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So, yes, absolutely. My whole, what I thought life was going to be changed right there in that moment. Yeah. And all the good that I had done and I thought would come back to me was now in doubt.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so they took him in right then, and we chose to fight for his life because I thought, I'm a good person. I'm spiritual. You know, everything's going to work out okay, and a miracle's going to happen. Like, I really believed in that moment. That's that denial piece, right? Like the world, like everybody told me, it's terminal. There's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to pray for a miracle.
Yeah, you're grasping for something.
Grasping.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was the only thing that I could hold on to that got me through those terrible nights of him going through chemo and radiation and being so sick. Brainstem glioma is the type of cancer he had, and it sits in the brainstem, and therefore it takes him from being a beautiful, whole person to now losing all of his function.
Wow.
And to be a mother and sit next to your child while this is happening was the worst kind of trauma I've ever experienced, right? So we did the treatments, and we decided that we would even go a step further, and we did an experimental treatment. So we took him to Texas to do this experimental treatment, and they kind of ripped us off, which didn't feel good either.
Oh, man.
So many losses and traumas along the way when you have a child that has terminal cancer and you're trying to fight it.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was like to, I don't know if it was you that told Tony his diagnosis or it came from the doctor, but like, what was that experience like?
Yeah. God, such a good question. I've never been asked that. Yeah. So the doctor came in and explained it to us as a family. And then we went in and told Tony that he was very sick and that he had to have treatment, but we were going to fight for his life. I remember one day we were driving to treatment, and he said to his dad and I, he said, the lessons you learn in school are super important, but the lessons you learn in life are the most important lessons you'll ever learn. My little 9-year-old son who is dying from cancer had that to say. That's what kind of kid he was.
Wow, I have chills.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
At what point was it clear, or the conversation with him around we're maybe not fighting anymore?
Yeah, so, he would ask from time to time, am I dying? And our response would be, because that's a hard
Oh
question.
my gosh. Yeah.
Like, does a little 9-year-old even know what dying is, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we would say, we are fighting for you, and we are fighting for you. So it wasn't until, so he was diagnosed in September, and it wasn't until Christmas time that we finally said, we're not going to fight anymore. And Tony at that point was asking on a regular basis to go home, and we were home.
Wow.
And yeah, what was that about?
Yeah.
Where did he think was home? And so there was a point where we said, we've tried everything.
Devastating.
We had that last Christmas, did the Christmas tree, had the gifts, but he really, at that point, he couldn't speak. He couldn't walk. So we would have to carry him to the bathroom, and we'd have to carry him to put him in the bathtub. He was not able to be mobile. He was in pain, a lot of pain. So we had him on a lot of medication to control the pain, and we were fighting. And I remember my mom pulled me aside and she said to me that, are you fighting for you or are you fighting for him?
Oh,
And
wow.
I thought that was the most cruel thing.
Cruel?
Cruel. Like, of course I'm fighting for him, right?
Yeah. Wow.
But was I? Like,
yeah. What a hard question.
But it made me think about it, and it made me start to understand that I need to let him go. And until I was able to let him go, he wasn't going to go.
And what did that look like for you, letting him go?
Yeah.
So not just physically, right?
Right. At that moment, I remember a few nights before he passed away, I would say, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And I would hold his hand. And I'm going to be okay. You can go home now. And the hardest thing I ever had to do, I don't know that I really believe that either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do so deeply because the last few days of my mom's life, she was in a coma. Nurses and hospice care were encouraging, talk to her. We think she can still hear you. And I had heard enough stories at that point in my life that some stories that people hold on until they hear those words that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I was fighting it because I was like, I don't think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it took everything in me to say the words. And I felt like I was lying through my teeth because I didn't want to say the words. Yeah. Because I didn't want my last words to be a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt selfish because I also, if this theory is correct, that's what she needed to let go. And that's something that I could do for her. And so, yeah, her last night, I laid in bed with her and I told her I was going to be okay, feeling like I was, again, absolutely lying about it. And a few hours later, she died. And so, yes, I know deeply what you're talking about of, I don't know if I believed it.
Yeah. I also feel like there was a lot of pressure afterwards for me to live in honor of him. I wonder if you've ever heard that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I need to stay in my grief and I need to stay in my pain in order to honor him. So really in those final days, I really thought I was honoring him by staying in my pain. And so saying those words, laying next to him while he passed away, that was really hard for me as well. Yeah. In the last few days of his life as well, I I think that finally giving into the fact that there's not going to be a miracle and that just because I'm a good person doesn't mean good things are going to happen to me. And he was my only child. So I had put in so much of myself to say my main goal in life is to be a mother, and to realize now that I kind of didn't do my job.
Wow.
That's how I felt,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm letting him down. I didn't protect him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't protect him. So those last few days, actually the last month, I sat by his bed, morning, evening, all day long. I would sleep in the chair if I was going to sleep at all. And I had actually become almost a shell of myself. I was really about him and his dying process.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that was my whole life. It was my everything. So his living was my everything, and his dying was my everything.
Yeah.
And I was completely present with him. And I remember he went through the breathing that they do. So as they're dying, especially from cancer, they'll do this breathing, labored breathing.
Yeah.
And he had the death rattle, 9 years old. How could this be happening? And like your story, it was probably a couple hours later. And I held his hand while he took his final breath. And at that moment, my life didn't feel real anymore.
Yeah.
I felt like a piece of my heart and a piece of who I was went that day as well. Yeah. That night was incredibly hard. And then, the next morning they came and got him. And, there's kids in the street, so they came early because I didn't want the other kids to see what had happened. And I remember they came in to get him, and they put the sheet over his head, and I said, do not put the sheet over his head. And a part of me felt like he was still there, like I was still having those moments of, this is not really happening.
Of course. Yeah.
And it was slightly raining. And when they wheeled him out, I could see the rain kind of touching his face. And I remember just feeling as they loaded him into the van that I couldn't let him go. I can't even describe that feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, how do you describe that feeling when they're taking your loved one?
I've not found the way.
Yeah.
Because, it was really important for me to be there at the end when my mom died. And on the one hand, like I am glad that I was there at the end, because that was an intention that I went into it when we knew she was terminal. And the trauma I still feel of, having the coroners come in at 11 p.m. to take her out of the house. That memory will be with me forever. And it's something that not everyone will experience. I mean, everyone will experience death of loved ones, but being there at the end and in your home, in the home that I spent my whole entire life with my mom, and having that be the ending. Yeah. It's hard because there are times where I'm like, do I wish that I did not have that experience and have that burned into my brain? Yeah, there are definitely moments. Because it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I didn't mention, he did pass away at home as well. So, being in our home and for us having to go on and live in that home, being there and having that experience, to be honest with you, I don't think I've talked about this experience in detail in many, many years. Like, this is the first time I'm really talking about those experiences that happened that night. And I can almost feel the feelings.
Yeah.
I'm teleported, right? I almost feel those feelings that I felt that night.
Yes.
And I can feel it in my body. And
Same.
yeah.
I feel grateful you're willing to talk about them with me.
I feel grateful that you're doing this.
Thank
and
you.
that I'm able to have a platform to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, they took them and, again, they took a part of me.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that I handled the grief really well and I was lovely and I went and spoke about it and helped other mothers. I wish that could be my story. Yeah. Or do I? I mean, I don't know.
I'm getting a feeling that wasn't the story.
That was not the story. It was messy, it was ugly, and it fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Like my whole life ended in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I was in recovery. I had 12 years sobriety at the time. And unfortunately, I relapsed. I returned to use through the process.
How long after?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So what happened? This is not blaming, but this is the story.
Yeah.
I was a mess. I was having panic attacks. I wasn't able to leave my house. I was so depressed. I was suicidal, all the things. And so I would go to the doctors and they would give me medication. Take this Xanax. It'll help with your anxiety. Take this pain medication. It'll help with your pain. Yeah. And nothing helped, obviously. And they kept medicating me. And I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not. Yeah. That's not at all. But I got addicted to prescription medication fairly soon after he passed away.
Mm-hmm. Was that your previous substance of choice?
No. Alcohol. Yeah. And it's all over my chart, right? Like it's, but they're like, you need it.
Well, the hysterical mother who just lost her son.
Yeah.
Let's just numb her out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think for them, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like many people in my life, which I'll get to that as well, because my grief wasn't pretty. My grief wasn't quote unquote normal, I don't know if you heard these things, but I got friends and family saying things like, he's not in pain anymore. Mm-hmm. That's not helpful.
Yeah.
I want him here. Somebody had the nerve to say, he wasn't yours anyway. He belonged to God.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure he was mine.
Yeah.
And
I've heard, again, with all of the frustrating and horrible, grief cliches, that very much this podcast is built off of, despising.
Yeah.
I've heard from other people who've lost children, especially younger children, or like late-term miscarriages and things, that another common one is you can have another kid. Did you ever hear that one?
Yeah. And
just replace him.
The hard part about that is I did get pregnant and I had a miscarriage. And so when I would hear that, because I did get pregnant after I lost my son, and likely grief played a part in that. I don't know. I was also a little bit older. So, again, I don't know, but my son wasn't replaceable.
Right.
Yeah. My son wasn't replaceable. He didn't belong to somebody else.
Yeah.
He's not in a better place.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Why don't people just say,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they feel like they need to say something to fix it. One thing that is extremely true about grief is you don't fix it. You don't fix it. And all those doctors, Claire, that I went to, not one of them said, maybe you should get a therapist.
Wow.
Maybe you should go to a grief group.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about, here, take this.
Numbing.
Numb me out.
Yeah.
I did eventually relapse on alcohol again, and alcohol and prescription medication is very toxic.
Not a good combination.
Yeah, and there were some scary moments. There were some really black, dark moments filled with, I don't want to live anymore, but I'm afraid to die. I don't want to go on, but I feel like I need to.
Yeah.
And that was hard. That was hard. I felt like I needed to stay in my grief to honor my son.
Yes.
Because if I stepped away from it, I stepped away from his memory. And what I want to say about that is I learned in the future, I learned that I can honor him by living my life in a way that he was never able to. And by honoring him, by healing, he wouldn't want me to be that way.
Yeah.
He wouldn't want me to be that way. So losing him was so devastating that I couldn't leave the house. Like even going to the market, I don't know if you can relate to this, but the noise of the world was overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I looked out the window of my front living room, and outside all the kids were playing in the street. And I remember I could only see black and white. That's where I was at. And I remember thinking to myself, don't they all know Tony's not here anymore? Why are they laughing? Why are they playing?
Yes.
Don't they know?
Yeah. Yeah. So much of that, right? That scene and things being highlighted of what we no longer have. Yeah, there's been a lot of that for me, with parents, and then of course sibling stuff later.
Yes.
Whether obviously the big ones like Mother's Day. I mean, for many years it was don't you all know that not everyone has a mom that's still alive? And this very like almost like, how dare you? And really wanting to scream just more of like have more awareness.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't take my breath away in the same way as it used to, but I remember even recently last year, someone at work as I was leaving said, hey, don't forget to call your mom to wish them happy Mother's Day. And just, hey, my mom's dead.
Yeah. Is that what you said?
I did. I did. I've gotten a lot more blunt in my grief because I've gotten very tired of having to silence my grief in order to make other people comfortable.
It's so interesting, Claire. Last Mother's Day, I was in Ulta. I don't know if I should say the name of a business in here.
Maybe they'll want to sponsor.
Yeah, there you go. And the guy that was helping me, he's like, so have a happy Mother's Day. And I remember turning to him, very matter of fact, and I said, my son's dead. And I think that's the only time I really felt like I needed to turn around and say that. Because I get it a lot. Oh, do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? How many kids do you have? I get that question all the time. And how many kids do I have? Yeah, I do. I have a son. Oh, how old is he? What does he do? And it's like, he's dead.
Yeah.
So he does nothing. So yeah, I remember the early days, feeling like I had absolutely no purpose. None. Like, who was I? I'm not a mother anymore. The thing that meant the world to me, that meant everything to me, is gone. I can't even leave my house without having a panic attack. Now I'm addicted to prescription medication, so that's a thing. And my life was just in shambles. I was in and out of the hospital because I was suicidal. And, I think I've had every label placed on me. Like, oh, she must be bipolar, or maybe she's borderline personality, or, she has generalized anxiety disorder. And it's like, what I've realized is I'm none of those things. I'm a grieving mother.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting better. This was a while ago. This was 20 years ago, but still having people not understand what grief is and what it looks like and how it shows up in people's lives, and to want to medicate it and, put people on medication for it and label people because of what they're going through. When I look back, that really makes me angry.
Yes.
It makes me so angry. And as a therapist now, understanding that when I'm working with clients and they have a lot of grief, to not go to that place of, oh, you have major depressive disorder. Let's talk about your grief.
And we're not going to fix it.
Yeah. And we're not going to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a pill for it.
There's things that we do to help survive this moment or, move in a healing direction.
Yes.
But also, right, about grief is we just have to experience it.
And I think that's the part that, because I numbed it, right, for so long, that went on for a few years where I really numbed it. And then I had a hard time, like, getting off of all this medication and had to do the no drinking again. And so going through that process of treatment and recovery, and in the midst of my grief, when I stopped numbing, it's like, oh, crap.
It's all still here.
It's all still here, and now it even feels worse.
Yeah, you prolonged it.
I did. I did. And then to say, making that commitment to, I'm not going to numb it. Now I'm going to really work on it. I'm going to walk through it without all of these medication and all of that. Now I have to really walk through it. And that was a painful, painful journey.
Yeah. What do you think was most painful at that point?
I think it was the realization that how do I say it? I don't have to be my grief and my pain. That doesn't have to define me, but not really knowing who I was anymore. Grief changed me so profoundly.
Yes.
That I didn't even know who I was anymore. Is that the most painful part? I think it was still the loss, right? Him not being with me. And that idea that he's not going to be with me. He's not going to drive a car for the first time. He's not going to graduate from high school. He's not going to have a first kiss.
All the secondary losses.
Yes.
Yeah.
The secondary losses, so hard. And then I couldn't go back to work, so I lost my job. Then we lost the house. Just my whole life kind of blew up. And that was a really hard place to be in, but it also was the place where I needed to be in order to start the work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very cliche therapist response, but both are true, right? It's incredibly painful. There is not a shortcut to this. I'm a firm believer, and I think you too believe, our grief's going to be with us forever. It's going to change and evolve and feel different during different phases of life, but it doesn't go away.
Never.
And so, there's no shortcut to it. And so we need to be in it to do the work. And it is fucking horrible.
So messy.
It's messy.
Isn't it messy?
Yes.
It's like messy inside and out, right? It's just a mess. And where does it go? And how do you fit it in? And,
where do you get support?
Yeah, where do you get support? Absolutely. So speaking about that, so my father passed away 2 years after my son passed away. And I was in the middle of my son's grief. Like I was numbing, but still just.
So you hadn't re-entered recovery yet when your father died.
That's right.
Okay, so you were still in your addiction.
That's right.
Okay. How did your dad die?
So he died of, I guess, let's call it dementia, but all the complications.
Yeah.
And his ending was much like Tony's. And I was there for that and held his hand. And the coroner came and got him in the white sheet and, the whole thing. And
Wow.
I definitely felt numb. I remember feeling like I am just numb from this experience. And I realized later on that I really wasn't, I was present, but I really wasn't, if that makes sense, because I was still so in my grief with Tony. And so having that being such a numbing experience, I didn't really grieve my father in that moment. That came later. And so when I did get sober and started to put my life back together.
Right. That's one of those moments of, is that the way, does that fit? And I catch myself with things like that too. Is it putting it back together, or is it taking the shambles and starting from scratch? Right. Going back to what you were saying about like grieving who you were in your life. I mean, everything has changed.
Yes.
And you had a lot of things change outside of just the death of Tony.
Yes.
Like you said, your career, your home, there were so many, again, secondary losses within that. Yeah. And so is it putting it back together, or is it starting over?
I think it's starting over.
Yeah.
I think it's redefining who I was and trying to, while being in so much pain, going through this grieving process that I didn't go through earlier, right? It changed as well. Like my grief changed as well. And sitting with it in a way that I hadn't sat with it in the beginning because I was numbing. I think it also just redefined who I was for sure.
Yeah.
It changed me, like I said, in so many ways that I didn't even recognize who I was.
Yeah.
And so that's another loss, right? Like,
oh my gosh,
lost my identity.
Yeah.
Also, Tony's father left my life. So I lost that. I lost my father, and then my family made a decision to come to the Pacific Northwest. I'm from Southern California, and left me down there. And so I felt really alone from my family abandoning me as well. And so there I was.
There you were, stripped down.
Completely. Feeling like everyone has left me, on top of feeling like my whole identity is gone as well. So really, really at that bottom, that I'm just going to say my bottom.
Yeah.
And, I was angry about that for so long. I was so angry about that. And I don't know if it was the anger that began to help me pull myself up a bit. I'm not saying pull myself out of it, but up a bit.
Yeah.
Right? So that I could stand. And I started to entertain the thought of sobriety. And so I went to some meetings and developed some friendships. And, this is where my life kind of changes a bit. I was isolating. I don't know if you isolated a lot.
I've definitely gone through periods in my grief process, both when my mom was sick, dying once she died, and then with my sister. I would say more prominently, I was like internally isolated. I think that I often during those periods would describe, similar to what you said a little bit ago, about feeling like a shell of yourself, and competing with these values that I have of being a good employee, being a good friend, being a good partner, and being a good family member, and physically showing up for things, but to put it bluntly, like feeling fucking dead inside.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think when I think about isolation, it was going through the motions of these things and feeling incredibly empty.
Yeah.
And feeling like I still need to do the thing.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
I can relate to that, except for the only difference back then for me was I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to work. I didn't have a house anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't have family around. So the isolation was complete isolation. So as I started to get out a little bit more, engage with people, you know, I had this friend come over to where I was living, and he said, you know, get up, get dressed, we're out of here. And I'm like, where are we going? And, you know, I'm thinking, oh, he wants to take me to rehab, or he, you know, is he going to go? Where is he taking me? I have no idea. And I said, so where are we going? And he said, we're going to go to the golf course.
Have you ever golfed before that
Never.
moment? Okay. So it was incredibly random.
Incredibly, but you know, gosh, if you're listening out there, you saved my life. Yeah.
Okay, so he said, get up, we're going golfing. What you said, what?
Fuck no.
Yeah. Fuck no. Yeah.
Can't even hold my hands straight, right? Like, you're taking me to a fucking golf course. And like golf, like, what do I have in common with people that are on a golf course, right? And, you know, so I said, okay, because I was at a place where I was desperate and I wanted to do something and I didn't know what it was. And I said, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I stepped out of the house. I can't remember what I was wearing, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't golf attire.
Yeah, those golf courses have very specific policies.
What do you wear on a golf course? I mean, I didn't know. And here I was, this very isolated person going to a very public place.
Yeah.
And
doing a thing you've never done before.
Doing a thing I've never done before. Mm-hmm. And, you know, okay, so I go there and we're at the first hole. And for those of you that don't golf, it feels like,
golf, so
okay.
Say it like you're talking to
to you, right?
A person who's never golfed.
Yeah. And so it feels like 100 people are watching you. Like there's maybe 2, but it feels like everyone's watching you. And I've never swung a club. We didn't do any practice swings or anything. And I got up to the ball, and I would show you now, but I can't show you. I swung that club and I hit that ball.
You hit it?
I hit it.
On your first swing?
Can you fucking believe it?
No, I cannot, because that seems unlikely.
The ball is like super small.
It's small. Yeah. Golf ball. I think most of the listeners probably know what a golf ball looks like, even if they've never done it.
If you don't, Google it. Right?
Small ball.
Small. And the golf club is a stick with a little thing on the end of it. It's like, what are the chances I would connect with that ball?
Wow.
Not very great.
Yeah.
And so, Claire, I swear this is 100% the story. I hit that ball and it landed this close to the cup. And so, since you can't see what I'm doing, about 4 inches to the cup. And by the way, for those of you that don't golf, the cup is the hole that the ball goes into. So that is considered really good.
Really good.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
What do you think?
What do I think about your golf skills?
What do you think I was thinking at that moment?
Oh, man, I love to hear.
I felt like this sense of accomplishment when I connected with that ball. And I hadn't felt that in such a long time. I have goosebumps, actually. I can see myself on the the golf course. And I know it sounds silly. Like, how could a golf course change your life, right? But that day actually saved my life and changed it forever.
That's it for part 1 of my incredible conversation with Carol. We both were enjoying our talk so much that we didn't want to stop. So I decided to make this a 2-part episode. In this part, we just focused on the heartbreaking loss of Carol's son, Tony. Part 2 will continue into Carol's journey towards healing, and you'll hear more about how golf saved her life. The best part? You don't even have to wait. Part 2 is available for streaming right now. Just click next to continue listening to Carol's journey, and remember to subscribe. I'll see you in part 2.